Good morning, class. In today's module, we are going to be looking at being fit. So for this module, we have two files that I've uploaded. I've uploaded the Google Slides as well as a Google Doc that will summarize pretty much these Google Slides. So if you don't want to go through the Google Slides, you don't need to. You can just read from the Google Doc, or you can listen to me go through it, explain everything in a little more detail in preparation for next class's quiz. Here is the handout that summarizes today's lesson. You can read through this if you like, or follow along on the Google slide. As always, whenever opening up a Google slide, set your slide into present mode. Good morning, class. Here is our daily prayer. And so, of course, we start off with our daily prayer. So please do listen through that and go and enjoy our daily reflection together. Anyhow, looking at this module, we're going to be looking at being fit and the idea of physical activity. So we're going to learn about the basic principles of fitness. So there are four components to being fit. There's what's referred to as cardiorespiratory fitness, there's muscular endurance, there's muscular strength, and there is flexibility. So these are the four main components of being fit. So let's look at each one individually and expand on them. So cardiorespiratory fitness, the ability of your heart and lungs to supply oxygen to our muscles during continuous physical activity. So it's the idea of your cardio, your heart, and your breathing during any kind of fitness activity. So think about if you start to jog a little bit. So you're jogging for the first time and you're huffing and puffing. So clearly your heart is not able to pump in as much oxygen or distribute as much oxygen throughout the body. And that is something that you need to build upon. And you build upon it by slowly incorporating physical activity on a day-to-day basis. So understand that you can't just jump out there and run a marathon without preparing for something like that. So, continued with cardiorespiratory fitness, it focuses on the intensity, the frequency, and the time that can help build your cardiorespiratory fitness. So the intensity, how intense is your workout? So are you, if you're going out for a jog, how is your jog? Is your jog close to a speed walk? Is it a typical jog? Or are you sprinting, right? Those are all changes in the intensity in which you are moving your feet. Right? So if you're sprinting, the intensity is very high. If you're walking, the intensity is very low. If you're speed walking, you are now slowly building an intensity on that walk. Frequency, how often are you doing some kind of physical activity? So are you one who works out twice a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week, 6 times a week, 7 times a week? Don't recommend 7 times a week. Even 6 might be much. I know myself, typically I work out about 5 times a week. Ever since now that we've been on lockdown, it's been maybe about 4, but sometimes I may hit 6 depending on my moods. But yeah, on pretty much I do try to stick to a 5 days a week training routine, and that'll involve either cardio or resistance training, so weight training throughout throughout my week. But it is important that you do maintain some kind of rest periods throughout the week to kind of just allow your body to recuperate. And the time in which you're working out, how long are you working out for? Are you doing maybe my 12-minute workouts? Are you doing a 30-minute workout? Are you doing 45 minutes, 60 minutes, or as well, full hour? So how long is your workout routine? So looking at intensity looks at how fast you walk, you run, or how hard you work. Intensity can be determined by your target heart rate. So one of the things you want to see is when you're done, right? How elevated is your heart rate? So you could take your heart rate, monitor it with your wrist, or put your 2 fingers just to the side of the neck by the carotid here, and measure the heartbeats. You can do it for measure it for about 15 seconds, and then take that number and multiply it by 4 to give you the number of beats per minute that your heart is beating. So to get the most out of physical activity, your target heart rate zone should be between 60% and 80% of your maximum heart rate. Now, the average heart rate for teenagers is about 120 to 160 beats per minute. And that's pretty much for that max heart rate, that is. Okay, so if you're measuring and you're realizing, wait a second, my heartbeat is about 70 beats per minute, we're talking about your maximum heart rate based on activity and based on the intensity in which you're doing it. So new and beginning exercisers should stay near the low end of this range. So you definitely want to bring it, if you're for the first time working out, you definitely want to have it at the low end. You don't want to be pushing it to that high end if you're not accustomed to working out. So definitely stick to the low end of your max heart rate if you are a beginner and trying to start a healthy healthy active lifestyle. Aerobic activities include walking, running, bicycling, skateboarding, tennis, any other type of sport that will cause your heart rate to elevate. Right? If you don't feel your heart rate elevated, you don't feel you're kind of breathing in it, then you're definitely not doing much in terms of or trying to build an intensity. Understand that this cardiorespiratory fitness will help in preventing heart disease and lower your chances of developing obesity. Frequency and time. So how often and how long you are active. That's what frequency and time relates to. So moderate to vigorous activity, 30 minutes a day is what is recommended. So minimum 30 minutes a day of exercise at a moderate to a vigorous level. At least small amounts, 5 to 10 minutes throughout the day. So even if you're kind of going out, you're doing something for about 10 minutes and then come back and do whatever you need to do and then do another, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. That's why I really try to keep the workouts nice and short. So to do those 12-minute workouts, no reason why you don't have the time to find 12 minutes in a 24-hour day. And as I mentioned, with those 12-minute workouts, go out there for a walk. Continue, for another, do another 18 minutes, an 18-minute walk, 20-minute walk, so you can at least hit that 30 minutes a day, 3 times a day, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, if at all possible. The second component here is muscular endurance, so the ability of the muscles to sustain activity or continue to perform work. So that endurance, like your ability to still show some kind of muscular strength for a long period of time. So it's necessary for everyday tasks. So key to success in sports. So things like raking leaves, carrying a backpack, running, any type of weight-bearing activities. Such as running help in preventing osteoporosis. So if you don't know what that is, Google search it. Okay, so I'm not going to define that for you right now, because I do want you to empower your own learning, and take the time. You're in front of a computer, you're at a device, easily just to Google search anything you don't quite understand what it means. Anyhow, think about, in terms of carrying a backpack. If you're getting tired from carrying something heavy, the more you do it, the more endurance you slowly build. So that's what we mean by that muscular endurance. One of the funny things is, I think about when my daughter was born, and I was heavy into, I still am, into lifting weights, and I try to lift as heavy as I possibly can. And the funny thing that I found was, as light as my daughter was when she was born, and when I was holding her, and weeks after she was born, I found how tired my arms were getting from holding her for such a long period of time. And meanwhile, I've been lifting weights a lot heavier than she was. But because I was holding her at that position, and I typically don't lift weights for that long a period of time, that I didn't have the muscular endurance for little everyday to day routines. So here is the idea of having muscular endurance to be able to lift heavier weights, but for, let's say, 10 repetitions, 12 repetitions, 15 repetitions. But the idea of holding my daughter for a good 45 minutes on end, that became quite the challenge, and I was slowly building a muscular endurance to hold on to this 8 pound, 10 pound, 12 pound, 15 pound body that she was. So again, big difference when you're used to lifting weights and then putting them back after they're done, and then picking up something that is heavy, such as a child, and holding them for long periods of time. Muscular strength, the maximum force muscles put out when they contract. So they are needed for all movements. Muscles support and protect joints and internal organs. They can be increased through physical activity. So you can increase your muscles by physical activity, by doing some kind of resistance training. Anaerobic exercise is strenuous exercise over short periods of time that target specific muscle groups. So kind of doing real quick sprints, or even sit-ups, or some kind of weightlifting where you're doing things for a short period of time and then you're putting things down. So the more you do it, or the heavier you do these kinds of lifts, or the more you do these sprints, the more muscular strength you're going to build. Understand that muscular strength does not necessarily translate to bigger muscles, but they just will make you stronger. Right? And let's face it, bigger muscles don't necessarily mean a stronger person. Flexibility, the range of motion of joints and muscles. They are increased by activities that extend the range of motion of joints and muscles. So stretching exercises, such as touching your toes, torso twists, anything like that, is really important to try to build a flexibility in your body. One of the things with people who do try to build large muscles, sometimes may lack that flexibility because their muscles do not have that full range of motion, because they're not, let's say, stretching those muscles out to try to build that flexibility within their bodies. So the last point I want to make here is the FIT principle. Let's put all of that together and we come up with what is referred to as the FIT principle. And using this FIT principle is what's going to help you build all those aspects of your personal fitness levels. So FIT, the FIT principle, the letters FIT, stands for frequency, intensity, time, and type of activity that you're doing. Is your activity going to be cardio-based? Is it going to be resistance training? Understand that resistance training and weightlifting, very similar. So resistance, you're putting resistance on a muscle. So if you're lifting a dumbbell, you're pressing something over your head, you are putting resistance on those muscles. So understand that lifting weights is equally important as doing some kind of cardio activity. Understand that lifting weights, in fact, is considered more beneficial to the body, especially as you get older and your body starts to have muscle mass deteriorate as you get older. So it's important that you incorporate some kind of resistance training as part of your physical day-to-day activities. That's why in my 12-minute workouts, I try to incorporate things like push-ups and those planks, because we're trying to strengthen those muscles. Strengthening those muscles, make them denser, and slowly, if you incorporate any type of resistance training by lifting some kind of weights, you'll slowly start building those muscles, strengthening those muscles. Understand, for those who are scared that they're going to bulk up, you've got to lift crazy amounts of weight, and really, really tight diet, and sometimes some enhancements doesn't hurt if you're trying to get those really large muscles. So understand that if you're worried about bulking up, and this typically goes to the females in my class who are scared about bulking up by lifting weights, understand that one of the hormones your body needs to build very large muscles is testosterone. And so females don't have the same levels of testosterone as males. So that's why females typically will not build as large a muscles as males can, because not all males have develop the same or produce the same amount of testosterone. And again, genetically, based on your body type, will determine how much muscle can your body naturally hold on to. So anyhow, so let's go back to this fit principle. So fit frequency. How often are you doing some kind of physical activity? At what intensity are you doing it? Are you doing it at a slow, at a moderate, or a vigorous? The time, how long are you working out for? 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 12 minutes, like some of my videos, 30 minutes, an hour, 45 minutes, whatever it is. And then what type of activity, muscle training, or some kind of cardio. Remember, start slowly, build up over time. Pushing too hard too soon often results in injuries. My advice to you is, please stretch before, please stretch a little bit even after, just to loosen up those muscles, so that you are not going to be feeling as sore the following day.
I hope you liked this video. If you did, do not be shy to hit that thumbs up button. And while you're clicking the thumbs up, click on that subscribe to stay tuned to my new videos. Thanks for watching.